What's up guys, and Happy New Year. Since it's the beginning of the year, I was thinking I would talk about a subject today that not only have I gotten a lot of questions on, but also that has to do with new beginnings. And that is, if you're in the market, what are some things that you need to know when you're going to look for a used car? Now, first of all, knowing what you're buying makes a big difference. And since I can't cover the entire gamut in one video, this will not be how to choose your next project. So we're talking about basically good, reliable beater cars or a good, reliable daily driver. A lot of people ask me, what cars should I look at? How do I know if I'm getting a good deal on something? And there's a few things you can do that'll make this a lot easier on you. And one is just to be brand conscious, and that there's no easy way to get. It's just look at reviews on cars and talk to people that you know and get a good feel for which brands people have had good luck with and have not had good luck with. And I'll give you a couple of mine towards the end here. But the other is to make sure you're not getting ripped off. You're gonna need a good idea of how much a car is worth. And there's more than one place you need to look for this kind of information. I think most people know Kelley Blue Book, which you can get at kbb.com, which will give you the official Blue Book value of the car that you're thinking about. But Blue Book value doesn't really tell you everything, because as with most things, the market really sets the value on a car. So what I try to do, in addition to looking at Kelley Blue Book, is jump on Craigslist, jump on Auto Trader, look at Facebook groups, places where people are selling these kinds of cars, and just see what they're generally going for. And that'll give you a good idea of what's too much and too little to pay. So that's a good place to start. Another tip that I have for you is when you find one that's in your price range that looks pretty good and you go to talk to the seller, don't buy any used cars until you've taken it to a shop or been able to really look at it yourself. I personally prefer to take it to a shop. Well, I mean, I work in a shop, but also most shops will, for very little money or sometimes for free, take a car that you're thinking about buying and put it on a rack and lift it up and look under it and basically write you up as just a report of the things that are wrong with it as best they can tell. Now, this will not catch every possible thing. And obviously there's always that possibility that you're gonna buy a car that has a problem that hasn't quite shown its face yet, and then you're gonna have it fail a week later. And there's really nothing you can do to completely keep that from happening, but being pretty well educated on the car that you're trying to buy will help you know for things to look for in that regard. But many times I've seen cars that from the top look immaculate, because that's really easy to do when you're trying to sell a used car, is to have it detailed, to clean it up, polish it up, clean the engine bay, clean the interior. And then when you come to look at it out in someone's yard, it's gonna look good and you're gonna think, oh man, this car's really well taken care of. However, it's not so easy to clean things from the bottom. And anytime you have a shoddy repair, that's generally where stuff is hidden. I've seen many times where you're looking at two cars and one looks a lot better out on the street. Maybe it's even lower mileage. So your first thought is, this is the better of the two cars. However, when you get them in a shop and get them on a lift where you can look under them, that nicer looking one may have bent body panels from the underneath, things that don't line up correctly, more fluid leaks, different things like that that may show you that the reason why it looks so nice is because it's either been in a major accident and been repainted, or that they put that extra effort into hiding the things that are wrong with it. And most places aren't going to go to the trouble of cleaning the underside so much. So that's a good place to catch those things. And another thing to check out, think about commonness. I know when you're looking for a project, a lot of times the selling point is the fact that it's not a very common car, or it's something different that people haven't messed with before. It's one of the things I really liked about SHOs in the beginning. But if you're working on trying to find a good, reliable, low maintenance daily driver, that rare factor mostly just translates into higher cost on parts, less part availability, and less information when you're trying to figure out what to do. So if you're just trying to get something that's reliable, that you're not gonna have to mess with, it's gonna be a good beater, good secondary car, think about common cars that you see a lot. Because the more common that car is, the more normal that car is, the more of them there are on the road, which means better part availability. It means lower part price. It means much easier access to information when you need information on that car. It also means more shops are gonna know what they're doing when it comes to it. Just all around, it's gonna make the car a little bit easier to deal with. So with those things in mind, let me just give you a couple cars I would say to stay away from and a couple cars that I think would be good daily drivers, and to tell you why, and maybe that'll give you a little bit of an idea for things to watch for. As far as cars I would not suggest buying if you're just looking for a reliable daily, one, the Nissan Maxima. Now, I'm not saying that the Maxima is not a good car, and the i30 is also the same car, and it's still not a bad car. But when it comes to something that you're not gonna wanna spend a lot of money on, that you're not gonna get involved in, that you just want to be able to drive, those cars, the things that make them nice being that they're kind of sporty and that they have a pretty powerful engine for the kind of car that they are the exact same things that make them a nightmare if you're trying not to deal with them every day. The VG30 and VQ35 engines are phenomenal engines as far as power delivery per the size that they are. And they're very efficient, but the problem is they're shoehorned into a front wheel drive configuration with almost no space around them for anything. And I will tell you from many years of experience with these that there are plenty of shops that either don't want to do anything with this engine, or they're going to charge you a premium every time it needs something because they are such a hassle to work on. I know of shops that if it needs a timing chain or has something to problem in the front of the engine there, they won't even touch it unless you're going to pay to have the motor removed, because there is so little space and so much stuff to get past to work on those. They also have a lot of problems with wiring harness issues and developing weird electrical problems that are really hard to find. The part availability and stuff is not so bad on these, but they're just a nightmare to work on. So if it's something that you either don't want to have to work on yourself, or you have limited abilities yourself, or you're not wanting to pay that extra at the shop, these would be cars I would probably stay away from. Now, a car that I would say would be a good one to have, and this is great especially for like new drivers and stuff too, pretty much every older Honda Civic. It doesn't even matter what it is. All of those engines are as generic as they come as far as Hondas go. Anyone could learn to work on these cars pretty easily. A lot of them use the same parts, so part availability is pretty good. Pricing for the parts is not bad. Finding information on Hondas is just insanely easy because it's literally everywhere. The cars are so popular. The downside to Hondas, and Civics in particular, is that for several years there up till now, they've been a really popular platform also for tuners. And because of that, their resale value is higher than you might expect. So you may wind up paying more for the car than you think you should. And there are other cars in that same range that would be cheaper. But reliability is phenomenal. And when they do need something, the repairs are not too crazy, so that would definitely be one I would recommend. I would say, other than that the main things to keep in mind when you're trying to decide on a beater, we're gonna do a little overview here. Make sure it's a common car. Make sure it's a car that you know at least something about so you know what to look for, or research it first. Make sure you know that what pricing you should be paying and why. Make sure that you have a shop look at it before you buy it, even if it looks low mileage, even if it looks well taken care of. And as a side note, make sure they're checking the check engine light, even if it's not on, to make sure that it's not got any problems there and that they haven't just reset it to hide a problem that you can't see. And then look for things like maintenance history and how clean the car is and whether it looks like it's been generally taken care of, so that you're not inheriting someone else's problems. Other than that though, you follow those, should be able to get a hold of a good side beater. And as I said in the other video, having a good beater, a good simple car that you don't have to mess with very often as a side car, a backup, is a big help when it comes to building your project car or the cars that you really care about, just so that you're not putting the entire weight of transportation and all your fun activities on one vehicle. So that's that. Any ideas I hadn't mentioned, make sure you let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here for this one, but I will see you guys later in the week for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Drop this thing a like, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.